We're at the 2013 PGA show. SCOR Golf, their line of clubs, I don't really like to call them wedges, but I know people do. The SCOR Golf line of clubs has been pretty hot this last year, and one of the things that is talked about a lot by the reviewers that test them out is the weighting of the clubs. So we have Terry here, who designed the clubs, who's going to tell us a little bit about the weighting.
Well, we look at wedges, and the things you want out of your wedges. You want distance control, pinpoint. You want any turf interaction. We have our V-sole, and you want feel. But one of the big things that every golfer struggles with, whether a tour player or whether they're a 15 handicapper, is you catch that wedge shot a little high on the face, the ball balloons, it doesn't go anywhere, and this is really not your fault. But what we look at here, this is just a representation of the top wedges on the market. And wedges are all designed with all the weight low and then a very thin upper section. So what you get is the ball performs very differently here, here, or here because you have a very different amount of mass behind it. We did some robotic testing and found that in modern wedges, you'll see as much as a 12 to 15% distance differential depending on where you hit it on the face, even within a half an inch. But what really is surprising about modern wedge design is it really hasn't changed much in 60 years. This is an old Spalding out of my collection that was made in 1950.
I like the ferrule.
And it's got the same kind of weighting in modern wedges. And it's going to balloon the ball up in the air. Ben Hogan said the maximum distance with a sand wedge was 40 yards. Your readers are hitting it twice that far on average and 3 times that far if they're kind of a big guy. Well, this club wasn't designed for that. So we created a new weighting scheme, and we put the weight higher in the club head, and at normal club head speeds, it'll launch the ball 15 to 20% lower than any other wedge on the market. But we took that 12 to 15% distance loss, and we mitigated that down to 5%. So no matter where you hit it vertically on the face, you're going to get within about 5% of the same distance every time. That's what we're after.
And I think that was the biggest difference. I mean, we can talk about technology in an iron all you want. The biggest difference is most amateur golfers do miss. Whether we like to talk about it or not, except for me, but most amateur golfers do miss. And when you can have something that misses and not punish you too bad, that's what forgiveness is all about.
Well, and nobody ever talks about forgiveness in wedges. I mean, you never hear anybody talk about it because wedges are very unforgiving by design. So when we created our SGC3 progressive weighting, we weighted each wedge precisely for that loft. We spread the weight vertically so we can mitigate this distance loss up and down the face. But even at the PGA Tour level, Josh, you'll see the PGA Tour pros at long range, they miss laterally. At short range, they miss long and short too. Right. Because they have that same wedge in their bag, and if they hit it a little higher or a little lower, they're going to get a different ball flight and a different distance. And it goes back into the gapping thing, which we can talk about. But if the ball won't go the same way off the club pretty much every time, you're never going to get your distances dialed in.
That's exactly right. So if you get a chance, check out SCOR Golf. Let us know what you're finding with distance control. And for THP TV, I'm Josh Babbitt.